He is the 2021 NCAA Division I Heavyweight National Champion, a multi-time All-American for the University of Minnesota, the pride of Apple Valley High School, a big WWE fan and prospect who can backflip gracefully. Reminds me a little of Bam Bam Bigelow. That's old school. But anyway, the name is WWE-esque. He's got a great name. Champion Gable Steveson. Thank you so much, Gable. Hey, you win the NCAA title, and then on social media, you were waving to someone. Who were you waving at and why?
Waving at the big boss, Vince McMahon. The reason why I'm waving to him is it could be my time to step in that ring and be the next big thing and the next big superstar.
Yes, the next big thing. I remember the last next big thing, and there were close ties. Another University of Minnesota guy, the famous Brock Lesnar. Hey, what was it like meeting Brock Lesnar? And I saw a video, I think it was back in 2019, where you got to work out with him.
Oh yeah, it's been a long time since that video arose. But I mean, meeting Brock was a great thing. He's a phenomenal person. He's led me in the right direction to this path in the WWE, and he's brought good charisma to me and made me look at a lot of things different. So having him in my corner is just an outstanding thing, and being able to follow in them footsteps and maybe be even bigger than he was is a crazy thing to think about.
The next bigger thing, Gable Steveson. That's what I'm talking about, Gable.
Yes, sir.
Hey, so when you win the national title, huge accomplishment for you. What has anything changed for you? Is it just, how do you look at winning the national title and just accomplishing this big goal?
It's been a goal of mine for a long time. A lot of kids want to experience winning the national title and being one of those 10 guys that walk out with the first place trophy. And me being one of those guys is a crazy thing, especially the way I did in my dominant fashion, and being able to be a front runner for this Hodge Trophy. I'll explain Hodge Trophy. The Hodge Trophy is like the Heisman of wrestling. And just me being able to showcase myself and being a national champ this year was a great feeling, and I hope many other little kids can look up to us and get into that spotlight too.
University of Minnesota, what a tradition of wrestling. It's just going through the years. And there's another wrestler who did very well for University of Minnesota and is a current WWE superstar in Shelton Benjamin. And I'm just curious if you got to meet Shelton yet.
I have not met Shelton. The one time he came to the wrestling room, I was not there. But I know who he is, and I know he's still going thing with Bobby Lashley and all those other guys. I don't know if they called it. I'm not sure, but I know I still keeping like.
Shelton and Brock and others. You mentioned Bobby Lashley, Kurt Angle, Chad Gable, another Gable. Wait a second. they're all have this tremendous wrestling background. Dolph Ziggler's another one. Jake Hager used to be Jack Swagger is another one. What do you think it is about amateur wrestlers being able to transition to professional wrestling?
I think a lot of these amateur wrestlers already have the freakish athlete in them and have the physique to perform at that high level and being a pro wrestler. I think what sets a lot of them apart is that their marketing ability and being able to showcase themselves on a high level, and they're already used to having a lot of people see them and big crowds and everything. And me personally, I think the way that I present myself, confidence, charisma, and how I can talk and bring a major crowd to one spot will be a very big difference maker compared to a lot of other people who try to come in and make an impact on things.
Well, you're a big man who can move, very agile. It's almost like you're a cross between a Brock Lesnar, that strength, that power, and a Shelton Benjamin, the agility. It's very interesting to see. You did this amazing backflip after you won the NCAA title. Is that something you've always done? is that something that, did you have any athleticism when you were younger as far as gymnastics or anything like that?
Yeah, I've always been able to do a flip. I remember the first time I did it, I was doing back handsprings, and I was doing it on the grass when I was really young. I've always been a bigger kid, so it was kind of crazy for me to do. But I mean, it's always stuck with me, and it's always like been there. And the backflip was just a part of the Gable Steveson celebration. And it had to happen again on a bigger stage.
And the reaction from that was tremendous. It was all over social media. And when you see things like that and you see yourself just accomplishing all these things and what social media has brought to the table, how have you embraced social media?
Social media is a great thing. It comes with a lot of responsibility too. A lot of critics on there. A lot of people who want you to follow them and message them back. And I try to message many people back. And there's a lot of kids that ask me like really important questions. And so I try to get back to many of them. And currently right now, just keep growing or keep trying to just grow my following and post nice pictures on Instagram is just a cool thing to do. I mean, having that platform and having a lot of followers is a cool thing, but like I mentioned, it comes with great responsibility. You always got to watch out for what you're posting and the pictures you take, and it's always there's goods and bads to social media. But I enjoy being on there, and I enjoy having the people who follow me, and being able to come in touch with a lot of big time people. So it's nice.
When you were making your decision to attend the University of Minnesota, and you are an outstanding wrestler at Apple Valley High School, 4 state championships, went to state 5 years, your first year as an 8th grader, a tremendous career there. What made you decide University of Minnesota? And I know you're a big WWE fan, and that's something you want to do. I read that. Was also because Brock Lesnar and even Shelton Benjamin went to University of Minnesota. Did that play into it at all, or no?
That didn't really play into it. I think the main reason I came to Minnesota is because I wanted to start a new legacy. A lot of the older guys that were recently graduated just got done with their careers, such like Tony Nelson and Dylan Ness, and a lot of those guys were just getting done. So the team needed a refresh, and so we started out with a lot of freshmen, and that's when I was a sophomore in high school. They had all their freshmen ready, and they weren't doing so good, and I think me being one of the first people to commit to Minnesota and change the direction that they were going was going to be the major spark, and I know people are going to respect me for staying home and being able to create a different path for Minnesota and bring us back on top, and eventually bringing them a national championship was the main goal. But as the years gone on and I've met more people, the factor of me being here was even bigger than just me wrestling. It was me being a face of the program, which everyone wants to be a face, and I think me being here in Minnesota has really brought us better recruits, better opportunities for everyone, and with the great coaching staff we have, it was just like it was the perfect fit for me, especially with the legacy that Lesnar left, and I wanted to follow in that path that he has and just be my own person overall.
Gable, did you hear from Brock after winning the title, or did you hear from any other WWE superstars or any wrestlers, professional wrestlers?
There's a few that tweeted at me and followed me. I heard from Lesnar gave us congratulations, Triple H gave us congratulations, Paul Heyman, him too. So there's a few notable guys out there and many others, but it was nice to hear from those guys and have them tell me that they're watching me on the big screen. So it's always nice to hear from major people like that.
Did Vince McMahon wave back?
He didn't wave back, but I know he got the message.
And hey, you mentioned Paul Heyman and Triple H. Hey, are you going to be a Paul Heyman guy?
I mean, I would love to. Paul Heyman's always he's been a really close person to us for a long time now. Since my junior, senior high school, he started getting recognized. He started recognizing me. I mean, I would love to be a Paul Heyman guy. You see what Paul Heyman does to his athletes, and he makes them superstars. And I hope that I'm his next big thing, and we're gonna take over the world.
And also, you mentioned Triple H, and hey, that's a good guy to have in your corner too.
Yes, it is.
Now, hey, your brother Bobby, he also was a very accomplished amateur wrestler, and is he at the WWE Performance Center now?
He is currently at home. He has been in talks with them, but I'm not sure everything all the details that go into it. But I know he has talked to a few of them and would like the shot to go out there and be on the big screen too.
Because in that sense, I was going to ask if you and or your brother have been to the WWE Performance Center in Orlando to visit.
He was the only one. I haven't went yet because I was in season.
Did he mention anything to you about what it was like? I've been there. It's unbelievable, but I don't know if he talked to you about it and just the facility itself.
Oh, he said it was a really nice place. Orlando's a beautiful spot, and just him meeting all the guys is really cool. I mean, seeing a lot of them that are on TV is really cool to see. And he said it was a great time down there, and it's really, really nice to try something new.
It's also interesting because the brothers that come to mind for me are the Steiner brothers, University of Michigan. And oh, by the way, you beat the University of Michigan wrestler in the finals. I had to throw that in there too. But the Steiner brothers, tremendous amateur wrestlers. And it'd be something, the Steveson brothers. Is that something you guys thought about when you were young or as you got older?
I think as I got older, it was a little bit more of a reality. I mean, if our path went ahead, then that'd be a great thing. But if not, we'll take it one day at a time, and hopefully he can get his chance in there, and hope make my impact in that team too. But who knows? Maybe tag team with champions or however it goes, this may come about soon. But we're just gonna take it one day at a time for now.
Are you familiar with the Steiner brothers, amateur and professional?
Yes, I know who they are.
Rick's son signed with WWE, and I'm curious because he's a tremendous amateur wrestler. If you ever got the chance to wrestle against him?
No, never. I've never have. Didn't he recently just go in and sign?
He just went to the Performance Center. I'm not sure how long. I don't think it's been that long that he's amateur wrestled, but I don't know his age for sure. His last name is Rick Steiner.
Yes, I've heard of him, and we've never crossed paths. So,
well, it's interesting just the lineage of the background with the amateur wrestling and to see it evolve as it has. And now, in just your journey, what was it like for you when you first started in amateur wrestling? And about how old were you? Were you playing other sports?
I didn't. Back in the day, my mom always says I was born on the wrestling mat, even though I really, you know how it goes, on the mat for so long. I played soccer when I was younger. I did cross country. I mean, I was really big country, but I just wanted to keep my lungs good so I can wrestle matches and stuff. That school was just strictly wrestling, and so I've been wrestling for a long time now, and so it's brought many opportunities, many great things, and just being in myself on a high level was the most important thing for me. And so I've been wrestling, and it'll keep being a longer time wrestling after this too.
And Gable, when did you know you were good at it? Did you know at an early age that you were pretty good at it, or did you later on figure that part out?
Later, I mean, probably in high school I figured it out. Being able to go overseas and win world championships was a crazy deal. It still is. And I've won 3 world titles for age group levels. That's when I kind of figured out that I was kind of different, and it just always stuck, and it was always I just kept getting better and better and better, and just winning more, being more dominant was the main thing for me. And as I kept doing it, my confidence just kept going up, and it was always just a rising star.
WWE is so interested not only in your athleticism, but also they're interested in the charisma. You've shown that charisma. I'm curious, is that something you think about? And when you were in high school, did you do anything with the drama club or anything like that? It may sound silly, but I'm asking because the theatrics are important too when you get to WWE level.
Yeah, no, I've never done anything with the drama club and theater and everything, but I've always had that act to be a spokesperson. I love talking in front of a camera. Being in front of a camera doesn't scare me. Being in front of tens of thousands of people does not scare me or make me nervous or anything. I love the bigger the lights are, the better I shine, and I feel that it's always been like that for me. But I love, I've always been into acting. I like watching movies. I like watching certain actors too, and how they talk on TV and how they present themselves to everyone else. And so acting and like just being who I am has always been there. I've been like that since I was a young kid, just being able to talk on screen and say like the right thing at the right time. And so it's always been in me. It's just nice to see that people notice that I have a charisma on me and I have a good sense of humor on me to gain more audience.
And in saying that, and in meeting Brock Lesnar, when you met Brock, how do you keep the fandom side of it so you don't freak out so much when you're meeting someone like that? Amateur wrestling and professional wrestling, sports entertainment.
I've met a lot of people. I went to high school with like three people that are in the NBA right now: Gary Trey Jones, and Ty Jones, and I know many people that are pretty popular, just like Lesnar. But I mean, meeting Lesnar was like really crazy, just because he was like the most like famous and most popular person I've ever met at that time. But I know that he's just another person. Everyone's just another person. It's regardless of their social status and how much money they make, how many followers they make on Instagram. People are just always going to be people, and I know he wanted to be treated the same way I want to be treated. And we just had basic conversations that like didn't revolve around anything else. He just asked me how I was doing and what I would like to do, and I got to ask him questions too. So being able to not be culturalized by someone who is so popular and just maintain a good sense of humor with them is always the key, because I feel like too many people get caught up on this guy's too famous or this guy is this, and they say the wrong thing, or they say that I mean, you guys know how it goes. When people get famous, a lot of people just get starstruck by them. But when I've been around like so many guys like this, and it's cool to see all their perspectives on life. And he was a great dude and very, very nice to me. So it was nice.
And it's cool to post that picture on social media too, right?
Oh yeah, it's really cool.
Hey, are you familiar? Now this is going back old school, but are you familiar with Mr. Perfect?
Mr. Perfect. I've heard of the name, but I'm not familiar with him.
Oh, you got to check out Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. He's a smaller wrestler. When I say smaller, he's still good size. He's also from Minnesota. And, man, I see, like, you as, like, a Mr. Perfect, Bam Bam Bigelow, Brock Lesnar morph type, making your own mark. But you got to check out Mr. Perfect. It's just an incredible character, too. And you're so agile and can do so many good things well. I want you to check that out when you get a chance. I also want to ask you, have you thought of any wrestling names for yourself? I like Gable Steveson, but first of all, there's already a Gable in WWE with Chad Gable. So I'm wondering if you're thinking of other names for yourself when that time comes.
I haven't thought of another name for myself. I think I want to keep it a household name. I think Gable Steveson rips really hard, and it leaves a lasting legacy on a lot of people just because Gable is so rare. What I do know is there is a Chad Gable, but that is not really his overall real persona and name. That's his stage name. But me being the real Gable Steveson, there is only one of one Gable Steveson. There's only one of one Brock Lesnar. You don't get two of them, and so being able to go out there and hear my real name, Gable Steveson, is going to ring bells. It's going to bring the most popularity to the entertainment side of things and to WWE. And can't get it. You don't have two Gable Stevensons. You have one, and I am that one.
Well, feel free to use this. And I agree with you. There is only one Gable Steveson. The gold standard, Gable Steveson.
The gold standard.
There, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
The one and only.
Yes. Hey, well, a few more questions. We'll wrap this up. What are your Olympic aspirations?
We're going to Olympic trials next week, and I plan on getting an Olympic team there. I hope to go to Tokyo this summer, and I think that's it for now. now. I think the Olympics is every 4 years. That's a long time. So we'll stick to this year and see how it goes.
Has that always been a big goal for you?
Yes, it's been a major goal since I was younger. Everyone wants to make the Olympic team. That's the epitome of freestyle wrestling, and I think that's where my path is going.
How about MMA, mixed martial arts?
MMA is good. I like fighting. I want to someday hold that UFC championship belt, but not at the cost that it comes with it getting battered and hit in the face. I mean, my main goal is to make it into the acting world and go into movies. I really like The Rock, and The Rock is like my all-time favorite person. If I had one person to meet, it would be The Rock. And so I wanna end up going into movies and being a showman on that side, and just being a movie star and a WWE star. It's just, I think I got all the tools for it, and hopefully it plays out well.
When you and Bobby were younger, were you guys emulating the WWE superstars?
Wait, can you repeat the question? I didn't really hear it well.
When you and Bobby were younger, were you emulating, copying the WWE superstars? When you were kids, you watch the shows and then go outside or in the house messing around?
No, we never did all that, but we watched the shows. I mean, I remember guys like Booker T. John Cena's still really popular, but back then it was crazy to see like those guys go out for WrestleManias and having it in the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, and it was sold out. It was like, wow, like maybe one day I'll be the last picked in the WrestleMania and go out there and win, and got 50,000 people cheering your name. And it's just crazy to see the fan base that is there, and that still keeps coming around. And like I said, it's just hopefully one day the number whatever picked in WrestleMania, I walked out there and 50,000 people saying my name. That's like the all-time, like, wow to me.
Who were some of your other favorites? You mentioned The Rock. You also mentioned John Cena and Booker T. But who were some of your favorites growing up?
Generation X was crazy. I love Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy's dance he used to do before he goes out. That's crazy. Well, that's all time. Can you smell The Rock cooking? That's like my all time. Like I told you, The Rock is like my number one. Undertaker and Kane back in the day were really crazy. Then they finally revealed Kane's face one day, which was funny and nice to see. And there's just so many. There's like so many to point out. And Rey Mysterio, we grew up watching those guys. Those guys were like the heart of our childhood. And it's crazy to see all those guys get older and soon to retire. But it's just like, wow, like seeing those guys when we were younger in their prime was crazy.
Today it was just announced, The Undertaker made the announcement on WWE's The Bump that Kane will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, which I think is really cool. And both of them were on. It was very emotional. It was fun today. It's all over social media too today.
Kane, I didn't even see that today, but I mean he greatly deserves that. The Undertaker too. Those guys are living legends to everybody. You can ask. It's crazy how popular those guys are and the impact they had on everyone's life. You can literally go around and ask NFL players and NBA players who Kane and the Undertaker are, and everyone knows who they are. And so, I mean, that's a fantastic thing for him, and maybe one day I can put my shoes in that spot and be just like those guys do.
Yeah, and that's interesting, Gable, because there are so many athletes and celebrities and actors and actresses that love WWE. And like you said, they know Hulk Hogan, they know The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kane, Undertaker. They know them and they go to shows. And I'm wondering, did you go to any shows live in Minnesota?
Yes, there was my first show was my senior year after I won the state tournament. I went to the show and I sat front row, and it was like seeing those guys in person. Like a lot of people aren't able to see those guys like in first person. They always see them on the screen and how the camera works on them. And seeing those guys in person was just very, very like odd to me because I've never. It's like seeing like pro athletes and like pro football players in person. Like it's like wow, like you never. There's so many people that want to meet these guys, and I'm able to see them live in action and actually shake their hands and say hi to them. It was a cool thing.
Hey, where was the show, and do you remember anything about that show or any superstar from that show?
That was when it was at the Target Center in Minneapolis, and that was when Lesnar made a return, and I forgot who he wrestled, but Roman Reigns was there. I forgot who he fought. There was many times, like I went 3 times, and so I'm trying to remember like exactly who was there at what time. Oh, it was the first one I went to was when I think my freshman year of college, I went to one and I met Triple H. It was when Rey Mysterio was going to retire, and this is when I think him and Lesnar and his son were like into it, and Rey Mysterio was planning on quote unquote retiring, and he went out there and Lesnar made his return. I mean, there's so many. There's those 3 shows are like they're hours long and they're just jam packed with one thing after another. So it's hard to remember like who goes after who, but those guys are outrageous and great entertainers.
And it's interesting that you were a fan of DX, and now Triple H, Paul Levesque, is so involved behind the scenes. I mean, that WWE Performance Center in Orlando and NXT, those are really his babies, so to speak. And you got to see him then, and now there's possibly going to be an opportunity for you to be able to do something like that. What would that, in the whole grand scheme of things, just mean to you to be able to sign with WWE someday?
It would mean a lot to me to sign with the WWE and become the face and the next big thing. It's always been a goal of mine to rule many things in my life, and I think I'd be one of the best WWE champions out there that has ever surfaced, and hope that I can put my names up in the ranks of The Rock, Undertaker, Kane, Lesnar, Cena, and many more. And I'm right there. My time's almost here. We'll see how it goes.
Well, I want to thank you for your time, and I appreciate this, and we're going to wrap this up, and I'd be remiss, Gable, without mentioning this, that WWE superstar Riddick Moss wasn't a wrestler, but he played football at the University of Minnesota, and I wanted to throw that in there.
Yes, I know he is. We follow each other on Instagram. He's a good dude.
He's a very good athlete, too. Every year, well, they didn't because of COVID. Every year, they would usually have a combine at the Performance Center, and they would show it on WWE Network, and it was legitimate. They would do their own combine, and Bianca Belair and Riddick Moss would just kill at the combine. They would, beat everybody. It was amazing to see. Such a great athlete. Well, listen, Gable, thank you so much for the time. This has been just really so much fun. I'm glad we got to talk a little bit, and I want to wish you the best with everything that you're doing. And I'll just close it with this, that everyone out there, all wrestling fans, WWE fans, someday you're going to be smelling what the Gable is cooking.
Yes, sir, they are.